Imagine a prison built to hold the most dangerous beings in the galaxy, a fortress of steel and shields thought to be unbreakable. Yet behind its walls sits not just a prisoner, but a dragon mother whose 7 powerful children are coming through the forest, each with gifts no human weapon can stop. What happens when love and fury collide at the gates of humanity's strongest cave? If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to the channel and like the video, and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. Now, let's jump into the story. The prison on planet Kepler stood like a giant fortress under the pale sky. Its walls were made of strong metal, fused with glowing shields that could stop even the fastest weapons. This place was built to hold the most dangerous beings of the galaxy. The story of this prison was already whispered as an inspiring story of control and order. But inside its deepest hall waited a tale no one expected. A real-life story that blended fear, courage, and the bond between a mother and her children. Commander Leah Song walked down the narrow corridor. Every step of her boots echoed against the steel floor, a sound that carried far in the silence. The air was cold and sharp, and the lights hummed softly above her head. She was used to danger. She had faced pirates, rebels, and thieves. But today felt different. Today the prisoner was not a man or woman, not a thief or smuggler. Today the prisoner was something far older and far more mysterious. She stopped in front of the largest cell in the entire prison. Behind a glowing wall of blue energy, a shadow moved slowly. At first glance, it seemed too large to be alive, yet the shadow breathed. When the creature stepped closer, the guards tensed. Scales shimmered across its body, color shifting from deep green to dark black as it moved. Its golden eyes caught the light and held it like fire in glass. The creature was called Saren. Her kind were known as Drayli, humans, with their old legends called them dragons. This was no wild beast. This was a dragon mother, captured 3 days ago near ruins that looked like ancient temples. She carried no weapons, no technology, only her natural gifts. Her capture had been called a victory. But as Commander Leah studied her, she did not feel victory. She felt watched. River Cho, the young analyst, stood behind her with a datapad. His voice was uneasy. "Commander, 3 days and she has not spoken of allies. No message, no sign of others." Leah kept her eyes on the golden stare. "Silence is not weakness," she said. Then the dragon mother moved closer, and her deep voice rolled through the hall. It was the kind of voice that seemed to come from the earth itself. "You keep a mother away from her children. This will not end the way you believe." The guards shifted nervously. The words were spoken in clear human language, but with an ancient accent, like stones grinding together. ... Commander Leah stepped nearer to the glowing barrier. The blue light made her face pale. "If you want freedom, help us. Tell us about the attacks on our supply ships. Tell us where your people hide." A low sound came from Siron, half laughter and half thunder. "You call them attacks. We call them answers. You came to our sacred places. You broke our temples. You built metal cities where our families sang for millions of years. And now you ask for peace after you build war?" Captain Arun Das walked up beside Leah. His uniform was neat, but his eyes were tired. "Commander," he whispered, "maybe she's lying. Maybe she's part of the group striking our ships." But Siron's eyes did not leave Leah. "You see only what is loud. You think silence means empty. My children learned long ago that being quiet is survival. Do not mistake silence for surrender. The air in the hall grew heavy. Even the hum of the shield seemed dim. Leah felt a strange fear touch her chest, not from the whir, but from the certainty behind them. She asked, "What do you mean when you say children?" The dragon mother lowered her head slightly. 7 young ones, each with gifts, each ready to give their lives to protect me. Did you think they would leave me in this cage? They are coming. Arun shook his head. That is impossible. Our sensors would have seen them. But before he could finish, the floor trembled under their feet. The lights flickered, once, twice, and then an alarm screamed through the prison. Voices rushed through the radio, filled with panic. "Commander, we have 7 contacts approaching from the forest. They do not appear on normal sensors, but we can track them by what they break. They are moving straight for us." Another voice added, "Trees that stood for centuries are falling as if they were twigs, but they are not wasting strength. They break only what is in their way. It is precise. It is careful." The hall shook again. The guards raised their weapon. Through the thick glass of the control windows above, faint glowing eyes appeared in the forest. 7 pairs of eyes, each shining a different color: gold, silver, blue, green, amber, purple, and red. Surround's voice came through the speaker system, though no one had given her access. She spoke in sounds that shook the walls, a language older than human memory. The humans felt fear climb their spines. Leah's voice was sharp. "What is she saying?" Pemanita, the linguist, answered from the radio. "Commander, I cannot translate all of it, but she is calling. She is guiding them here." The screen in the control room displayed the prison from above. 7 straight paths cut across the forest, like arrows aimed at the heart of the building. Each line struck a different target: the power station, the communication array, the weapons systems. Leah stared at the image. They are not animals. This is planned. Each one has a role. Each one knows exactly where to go. And in that moment, with the prison trembling around her, Commander Leah understood the truth. They had not just captured a dangerous alien. They had captured a mother. And now her children were on their way. Surround's golden eyes glowed brighter. Her mouth curved in something like a smile. "My children are close, little ones," she said, "and they do not come to beg. They come to bring me home." The alarms howled louder. The lights dimmed again, and the story of the prison was about to change forever. The forest outside the prison stood silent under the cold sky. Tall trees stretched upward like ancient guardians, but silence did not mean safety. As the humans inside the prison watched their screens, 7 clear paths began to form through the wilderness. Each path was straight and deliberate, as if invisible hands were drawing lines toward the fortress. This was not chaos, this was purpose. Commander Leah Singh stood in the control room with her officers around her. The glass wall showed the wide valley and the endless trees. On the main screen, aerial drones stitched together a picture of what was coming. The forest shook in 7 directions at once. Old trunks snapped like dry branches, yet only those directly in the way were touched. Nothing extra was broken. River Cho, the analyst, leaned closer to the display. His voice trembled with awe. "Look at the angles." "Commander, they are not wasting movement. Every step avoids nests, avoids rivers, avoids what does not matter. They know this land. They know exactly where they are going." Captain Arun Das crossed his arms, his eyes tense. "They are marching toward us like soldiers. This is no accident. Each one is trained." Pemanita, the linguist, pressed a headset to her ear. Her expression was pale. I hear something in the static, she said softly. It is not words I can translate, but it is rhythm. It feels like call and response, like children answering their mother's voice. The hum of the prison lights flickered again, and on the screen, the 7 figures came closer. Each was different. Each carried a unique gift. The first was Solon. He moved like a shimmer of starlight across metal. Cameras tried to track him but turned themselves off instead. Drones that should have sounded alarms landed quietly back in their docks. Even turrets looked away as if persuaded to rest. Kaito Mori, the engineer, whispered, "He is not breaking machines. He is speaking to them." The second was Miri. Her body flowed like water, her scales sliding from green to blue as she squeezed through gaps smaller than her frame. Fences and beams meant to trap attackers could not hold her. She left no mark except the faint scent of salt air. Arun shook his head. She moves like glass being poured. No wall can stop her. The third path belonged to Carr. His steps left frost blooming in wide circles. Concrete cracked under his hands as frozen water tore it apart. The temperature around him dropped by 30 degrees, turning warm air into breath that stung human lungs. River spoke quietly. He is winter walking on 2 legs. The fourth was Velu. Cameras lost him again and again, not because of speed, but because he slipped between the edges of sight. One moment he was outside the wall, the next inside a courtyard. Doors opened just before he touched them, as if reality itself wanted to make way. Pema whispered, "He moves between attention. He is shadow given purpose." The fifth Orin came with the sound of bending metal. Fences leaned toward him, rails quivered, and missiles meant to guard the compound simply changed direction, falling harmlessly into the fields. Kaito watched the readings. He bends energy and steel with his will. Nothing mechanical can hold him. The sixth was Sai. Her steps were slow and careful, but each one carried a pulse through the ground. The soil shifted under her, smoothing cracks and softening walls. Instead of collapse, she built quiet balance. Arun frowned. She could crush us all, but she edits the earth instead. She shapes it. The seventh and final figure was life. Light itself seemed to bend around him. Flood lamps dimmed when he passed, and soldiers who raised their rifles suddenly lost focus, lowering them with tired sighs. He did not strike. He simply reshaped what people saw. River whispered, "He bends not only light, but the will to fight." The room grew tense as all 7 paths advanced. Commander Leah spoke clearly. "They are not charging blindly. They are coordinated. Each one has a role. They are not beasts. They are strategists." On the radio, a frightened voice shouted, "Commander, defense lines are falling one by one. Drones are shutting down without a fight. Turrets refuse to fire. It is as if the systems believe there is no enemy." Another officer added, "We tried missiles. They turned in midair. We tried rifles. The shots vanished into mist. Nothing harms them. They are studying us as they move." The prison shook gently underfoot, not like an explosion, but like the rhythm of 7 steady heartbeats. The sound spread through the walls, a living drum that reminded everyone what was coming. Pema leaned closer to her microphone. "The mother is speaking again. Not in words we know, but the meaning is clear. She is guiding them. She is calling them home." Through the thick glass of the control room, the forest edge glowed faintly. 7 pairs of eyes shone in the dark, each the different color. Gold, silver, blue, green, amber, violet, and red. They did not blink. They did not falter. Leah's hands gripped the rail tightly. "They are targeting our power station, communication towers, weapon grids, and sensors. Every piece of defense will fall. This is no wild attack. This is a planned strike. Arun turned to her, his voice low. Period. Is strong. Commander, if this is only the children, then what will the mother do when she is free? The question hung heavy in the air. The crew had no answer. What they did know was that 7 unstoppable forces were approaching with care, not rage. They were not destroying for the sake of destruction. They were breaking only what blocked their path. Leah felt her chest tighten. The humans thought they had captured a monster, but as she looked at the glowing eyes in the forest, she realized they had captured a mother, and 7 children were coming for her. The alarms grew louder. The screens showed the paths closing in. The prison that once felt invincible now felt small, fragile, and surrounded. And with each step of the 7, the story of the prison moved closer to a turning point that no wall or shield could prevent. The prison on planet Kepler had never felt so fragile. The walls were made of unbreakable alloys and energy shields designed to stop armies. But now those walls trembled with the rhythm of 7 careful steps. The children of the Dragon Mother drew closer from every side, and nothing the humans tried could slow them down. Commander Leah Seong stood in the control room, staring at the glowing screens. One by one, the defenses of the prison went dark. The turrets fell silent. The drones returned to their docks as if obeying a new master. The missiles turned harmlessly away. The machines that once protected humans now refused to fight. Kaito Mori, the engineer, checked the systems again and shook his head. Commander, this is not sabotage. The machines are not broken. They are following new instructions. It is as if someone whispered a better idea and they simply obeyed. River Cho, the analyst, spoke in a quiet voice. Look at them, Commander. The children are not raging. They are learning. Every move is a choice. Every action deliberate. This is not destruction. This is teaching. Outside, 7 paths continued. Solon walked past a tower of guns, and each gun turned its eye away. Miri slipped through barriers without effort, leaving only silence behind her. Carr froze walls until they cracked neatly without hurting anyone nearby. Velu vanished between shadows, entering doors as if they were always open for him. Orin bent metal and guided missiles like toys in his hands. Sai shook the ground gently, not to destroy, but to soften the earth so it would not break apart. And Lith bent the very light, calming every soldier's aim until their rifles lowered. In the middle of all this, the mother in her cell began to sing. The sound came first through the floor, then through the walls, and finally through the speakers of the prison itself. It was not a song in any human language. It was older than words. It was deep, steady, and filled with meaning. It sounded like stone remembering rain. Pema Nita, the linguist, pressed her headset tightly. Her face was pale, her voice trembling. Commander, I cannot translate this song, but I feel what it means. She's not calling for attack. She is guiding them with care. She is giving them direction and patience. She is telling them how to come home. The humans in the control room felt it too. The song reached past armor and rank and touched something human inside them. It was the sound of reunion, of a mother calling her children. Leah spoke firmly. Surround, what do you want? The voice of the Dragon Mother rolled through the prison. It was calm, low, and certain. You built a cage and placed a mother inside. You took me away from my 7. They do not want to harm you, but they will not leave without me. Open the walls and let us walk together. If you do not, they will break this place apart, and you will call it violence. but it will only be reunion. Arun Das, the captain, looked at the commander. If we fight, we lose. Our weapons do nothing. Our walls mean nothing. We can hold for a short while, but they will succeed. River's voice was softer. This is not a war, Commander. This is a family story. This is a mother and her children. We can choose to end it with blood or with understanding. The red emergency lights flickered as another tremor shook the prison. Through the glass, 7 pairs of glowing eyes now stood at the edge of the outer wall. Each pair was different, yet all burned with the same determination. Saran's voice came again, stronger this time. You have 30 breaths to open my cage. My children have been patient, but patience will not last forever. I do not wish to break your house, but they will not allow me to remain locked away. The air in the control room grew heavy with silence. Leah looked at the faces of her crew. She saw fear, but she also saw recognition. They understood what was happening. They were not fighting monsters. They were witnessing a reunion written in courage and love. Pema spoke in a whisper. Period. Commander, they are singing together now. Listen, the 7 voices are answering her. They are weaving their own tones into her song. The room fell still. Through the walls came the sound of harmony. 7 voices, each different, joined the voice of their mother. It was not loud. It was not angry. It was steady, patient, and full of strength. It was the sound of children returning home. Leah felt the weight of the moment. She turned to Kaido. Release the locks on the lower ward. Let the barrier fall. Arun stepped forward. Commander, are you certain? Leah nodded. If we hold the door closed, we become the villains of this story. If we open it, maybe we can walk out with dignity. This is an inspiring story waiting to be told, but only if we choose it. The engineer's hands moved quickly. The locks disengaged with a soft chime. The energy wall that had held the mother flickered once, then faded away. Saren stepped forward, her golden eyes warm but steady. She did not rush. She did not roar. She simply crossed the threshold with grace, like a queen returning to her own hall. Thank you, she said, in perfect human words. You chose wisdom over fear. Outside, the 7 roared together, but it was not the sound of rage. It was the sound of relief. The song of reunion was complete. Inside the prison, humans lowered their weapons. No one gave an order. No one shouted. They simply watched. For the first time since the prison had been built. Its walls were not symbols of strength, but of choice. And that choice was clear. The mother was free. Her children were waiting. And the story of Kepler's prison had just become a real-life story of reunion, courage, and the unbreakable bond between a mother and her children. The halls of the prison felt different once the barrier came down. Silence settled where alarms once screamed, and every soldier seemed frozen between fear and awe. Commander Leah Song stood in the lower corridor, her breath steady, but her hands tight at her sides. She watched as the dragon mother, Saran, stepped out of her cell with calm grace. No roar of victory, no rush of anger. Only the quiet certainty of a mother walking toward her children. Through the thick glass windows of the control room above, the soldiers saw movement at the forest's edge. 7 figures emerged, one by one. Each was different in form and color, yet each carried the same determination. The children had arrived. Lith glowed softly as he bent the light, casting a path that shimmered like dawn. Miri flowed like water, slipping through shadows without sound. Kar carried frost in his steps, leaving the floor shining with thin ice. Velu appeared and disappeared between corners of sight. Orin moved the air and steel with subtle gestures, guiding even broken drones back to rest. Sci's presence rolled gently through the ground, steadying walls that might have fallen. Solon walked calmly, machines dimming as they bowed to his will. Together they formed a half-circle around their mother. Their eyes shone in 7 colors, and the air felt charged with energy that no weapon could match. Yet they did not strike. They only stood, waiting for her word. Saran lifted her head and looked at Commander Leah. "Your story is at a choice," she said, her voice deep and even. "Hold your weapons, and this place becomes a grave. Open your hearts, and this place becomes a bridge." The words carried through the intercom, reaching every corner of the prison. Soldiers listened, their grips on rifles softening. The crew in the control room exchanged nervous glances. River Cho whispered, "They are not here to destroy us. They are here to take her home." Captain Arun Das stepped forward, armor scratched and weary. "Commander, we cannot fight them, and maybe we should not try. What if this is the moment to stop writing war and start writing peace?" Leah studied the scene. Her instincts told her to defend the prison, but her heart told her another truth. This was not invasion. This was family, and this moment could become an inspiring story of courage and choice. She raised her voice. "Soldiers, lower your weapons." One by one, the rifles fell to the sides of their owners. The tension in the hall eased, though fear still lingered. The children of Saran stepped closer, but carefully, with the patience of those who had waited long enough. They surrounded their mother, each one touching her gently, an arm, a shoulder, a hand across her scales. It was reunion without violence. Saran turned back to Leah. "You have seen what we are, not beasts, not shadows, but people. We will not vanish into silence again, but we will not hunt you if you respect our places. Promise this, and your kind may walk here without fear." Leah nodded slowly. "We will redraw our maps. We will mark your temples and your forests. We will teach our people to step carefully. No building will rise where your songs live." The Dragon Mother lowered her gaze in approval. "Then you have chosen well. My children will not harm your walls. In return, we will protect the balance of this land. You take one step toward peace, and we will take one step with you." Kaito Mori, the engineer, checked the monitors. His eyes widened. "Commander, systems are coming back online. The power grid, the comms, even the shields. But the readings are cleaner than before. They are repairing what we could not fix." The screens glowed brighter as the numbers climbed. The children had touched the systems, reshaping them not with force, but with care. It was as if they left a gift before they walked away. The heavy doors of the prison opened. Outside, the night air carried the scent of rain and earth. The 7 children moved first, clearing a path. Saran followed them, her golden eyes steady on the horizon. She did not look back in anger. She looked back in quiet farewell. Leah and her officers stepped into the doorway, watching as the family returned to the forest. The 7 moved with precision, carving new paths through the trees. They did not destroy needlessly. They shifted the land as caretakers, leaving behind patterns that humans could learn to follow. River spoke softly. "Commander, they could have crushed us. Instead, they left us stronger. This is not a defeat. This is a lesson." Arun's voice carried more weight. "It is a story worth telling. Not about weapons, but about wisdom. A real-life story of choosing peace when fear demanded war." Saran paused once at the tree line. She lifted a hand, and a pulse of energy moved gently through the ground. Lights in the prison brightened, and the final system stabilized. Then, she and her 7 disappeared into the forest, leaving silence behind them. Commander Leah breathed deeply. Tonight we learned that strength is not only force. Strength can also be love, patience, and the courage to choose another path. The soldiers stood together, silent, knowing they had been part of something greater than battle. The prison that once symbolized power now symbolized choice. And on planet Kepler, a new story began. A story of a dragon mother and her 7 children. A story of humans who opened a door instead of closing it. And a story that would inspire imagination for generations to come. It was not the end of conflict forever, but it was the start of understanding. And sometimes, that is enough to change everything.